Super Mario RPG was originally released on the Super Nintendo in 1996. This is a full remake of it, exclusive to the Nintendo Switch. No review codes were provided here. I bought this game on day one and this is my review of it, so let's begin. As always, I'm gonna start with the positive. This remake is a collaboration between Nintendo and Arte Piazza, a company known for working on some Dragon Quest games, doing ports and remasters of them on both the DS and the 3DS. In my opinion, those guys are quality, and this remake is fortunately no exception. The remade graphics look absolutely beautiful, simple yet very good looking. There are some bad things to say about this game and the graphics, but we'll get to that later. Music by Yoko Shimomura can still be heard throughout the game if you want to, but there's also the rearranged version, also done by Yoko herself. You can switch between each type of music, the original or the rearranged version, at any time during the menu. I'm a huge fan of the original soundtrack, so I was anxious to listen to the modern version of it. I can tell you right now, it did not disappoint for most tracks, so I applaud Shimomura for her new arrangements. Now, Super Mario RPG tells the story of Mario joining forces with both Bowser and Peach, ironically, and a couple of new characters. Their goal is to recover the missing stars some new bad guys have stolen, who also have taken over Bowser's castle. It's a charming story, identical to the original, nothing changed in that department. Obviously, it's a Mario game targeted for kids, and while the original version was somewhat challenging for kids, it was still overall a relatively easy game. Well, this remake is even easier. Two difficulty settings have been added here, normal and breeze, which is easy mode. Do not, and I mean absolutely do not play this game on breeze. It is extremely easy with close to zero challenge to it. However, you do get more experience points on this mode, which means that if you want to grind, you'll level up faster by simply changing it to it at any given time in the menu. Normal mode is still easy, but it has one important restriction to point out. Yes, it's easy, especially for veterans like me who played the original version to death, but you have a limited inventory here. You can only have during battle a specific amount of each type of item. For example, you can only have 6 revival items max, known as pick-me-ups, in the game. Nevertheless, these restrictions don't really increase the challenge that much, since, like I said, it's just easier than the original. Another thing that makes it easier is that percentage circle you see down there. It increases as the battle progresses, but to increase it faster, you need to click the action button at the right time during every attack. You used to do this in the original version as well to perform a small combo for regular attacks or a critical with the specials, so that feature is back, and it works much better in this remake, making it easier to trigger during combat. So these attacks will increase your chain count, which in turn will increase the percentage gauge. Once it's full, you'll be able to do something special, some kind of Trinity attack. However, during the first 2 hours of the game, you'll only have 2 party members, so that feature will be locked until you get 3. Using only 2, you'll trigger a treasure chest you can unlock with Mario and get something useful during battle, like a buff for example. But once you get more allies, you'll be able to trigger these special attacks. They not only do massive damage, but can also buff you or heal you depending on the combination of characters that you have in your active party. And speaking about that, one quality of life feature in this remake is that you can switch between your active and inactive allies at any given time during battle. That wasn't possible in the original, which only made things harder. Nonetheless, please note that Mario cannot leave your active party under any circumstance. Even when he's dead, you can only switch between the other characters, not him. Okay, Nintendo, we get it. Mario's the guy, and nothing makes sense if he isn't in the party, even dead. Anyway, every time you level up, this screen will appear. Stats will be increased, but you can also choose which ones to focus for each level you gain: HP, magic attack and defense, or physical attack and defense. I suggest you focus on each character's strengths instead of trying to balance out their weaknesses, but to each their own. Speaking about weaknesses, enemies are now weak to specific types of attacks and magic, something that is also useful during battle. Just keep in mind that MP is shared amongst the party. That's right, in most JRPGs every character has their own MP bar, right? Not here. They are called flower points and you can use items to recover them. You will also find flower taps or jars throughout the adventure to increase the number. Now, every character will also have different types of weapons as you advance. Mario, for example, can equip a hammer or a glove, so you'll have to get used to the timing attacks every time you acquire a new type. No random encounters were present in the original, same in this remake, thankfully, and it's easier to avoid them if you don't want to fight them. Overall, combat was fantastic in the original, and here it was improved masterfully to enjoy it even more with these new features. We also need to talk about the variety of minigames here. They are exactly the same as in the original. I usually don't cover them, but this is an exception. It's one of the most special JRPGs to me personally, so I've known all of them since I was younger. They go from falling through a waterfall, catching coins, to trying to create a small piece of music. Most of them are really fun, and the rewards obviously help your journey, like the frog coins for instance. You will later be able to exchange them for different items and accessories. I love the mini-games here, and the controls have been improved as well, so that's a big plus. Other quality of life improvements I want to mention are very important. You can now teleport anywhere you want, dungeon or town, at any given time using the map. You couldn't do that before, so that's awesome. Loading times have been greatly reduced for the most part, and the interface works quicker than before. There's also an autosave feature, but the original save points are back to save at any time you want. Finally, there's post-game content. Oh yeah! Original game didn't have it. It had the secret super boss though, and don't worry, he's back in this remake. But post-game? Nowhere to be found. Well, these remakes got you covered on that. You'll get a message saying it's been unlocked once you beat the game, you'll have to watch a few scenes and go to the appropriate places and you'll be set to go. I won't spoil or show you anything about it, don't worry, but let's just say you get to fight some of the same bosses, but with a different challenge this time. In conclusion, for the positive, this remake is just as phenomenal as the original, and it is the definitive version to play of it. Of course, as I previously clarified, this remake is easier than the original, so if you want to up the challenge, you'll have to go back to it. There is no hard mode in this version. Now, let's cover a few negative things I'd like to say. First, the original game was rather short, but its challenge, its difficulty, and its lack of quality of life features I mentioned 30 seconds ago actually made it longer. No difficulty settings were there, and the game, while still balanced, made you grind every now and then, especially before the final boss. Taking all of that into consideration, it was still an adventure that took you between 15 and 20 hours, more if you wanted to grind and face the secret boss. But those very same quality of life features, including its dumbed down difficulty, made this remake much shorter. It took me 10.5 hours to complete, not including the super boss and the post-game challenge though. Sure, I know what to do in most cases since I beat the original game multiple times in the past, so it's definitely going to be longer for first-timers, but not that long, that's my point. So overall, it falls a little short on that area, considering it's a modern remake, which in reality feels more like a simple remaster than anything, since there was barely anything new. No expanded areas, no new allies, no new enemies, no new story arcs, dialogue, nope. Relatively speaking, it is the exact game as before, just with the new improvements and features I mentioned. Graphically speaking, I said there was something bad to say about it, and well, the fact is that this is the Switch, so in some areas you might notice some small frame drop issues, but it's not a big deal to be honest. The post-game content in this game is ridiculously hard. Oh yeah, as opposed to how easy it is the main story. You can still beat the super boss easily if you just level up a bit, but there's a problem with the rest. Original version had a level cap. Nobody could go above level 30 no matter what. Well, that unfortunately carried over in this remake. And even having everyone at level 30, post-game is still going to be a pain in the ass, and you won't be able to grind higher than that. As I said, I won't show you anything to avoid spoilers, but the bosses can be very cheap and unfair. It's a huge difficulty spike I wasn't expecting, considering the main story, like I said, was a walk in the park. And hey, speaking about that, it's not really a negative for me. Like I said, I know this game pretty well, so I knew how to defeat enemies and bosses easily, so it was easier for me. On normal mode, first-timers, like I said, will still find it challenging. But I know some hardcore gamers out there will be sorely disappointed. Well, they'll be rewarded with that brutal post-game at least. Anyway guys, this is Super Mario RPG. You have to be a big fan of the original version to truly and fully appreciate this remake, which is exactly what I did despite its short length and its questionable post-game content. It's still a masterpiece, and I strongly recommend that RPG for everyone out there. Just don't expect it to be some kind of brand new game with tons of new content and stuff. It's good old Super Mario RPG with remade visuals, quality of life improvements, new features in battle, and hardcore post-game content. Thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your friends. See you next time!